What if the rudest person you've ever met was fighting the hardest battle? Welcome to Diaries of a Survivor. That's what we're going to talk about today. So, last week, on my way to work, I'm literally almost at my job. I'm at this light, I'm going straight. The guy on the oncoming traffic, he's about to turn left in a truck. I hate trucks for some reason. And he decides when the light changes green to just go ahead and go. And I'm like, dude, what are you doing? Like, I'm throwing up my hands, right? Like, what are you doing? Like, you literally almost hit me. Well, he decides, oh, I'm special. That's what I call people when driving. It's probably not the nicest. Like, obviously, it's calm to a lot of things that people could call it, but whatever, right? I say people are special. So he decides he's going to throw up his middle finger at me, starts like yelling and just like all kind of craziness. I said, well then, okay. So I park in a parking garage, right? Because I work downtown where I live, park in the parking garage, getting all my stuff out, right? So when he decided to turn in front of me, I literally like stared him down, right? And yes, I realize I have a lot to work on with driving, because people really get to me with driving. So all of a sudden I hear this through the parking garage. Guess who it was? It was this guy that had cut me off, flipped me off. I say, well, So I'm walking, right? And I'm like, wouldn't it be interesting if we were in the elevator at the same time? I was like, well, I'm like on the second level, just like one level ahead of me. I don't know how far up like he went, right? In the parking garage. Elevator finally opens. Guess who was in the elevator? Never, ever, ever have I had this happen to me before, that I have encountered someone who has been so rude to me while driving, per se, we'll say, because I've encountered other rude people, right, face to face. And I was like, wow. And honestly, like, I was still boiling, because one of my biggest things is protection, right? And if you literally almost hit me, like, that doesn't make me feel safe. And that just goes into this mode of like this angry mode, which anger is just an overlying emotion for like scared, fear, whatever, right? Well, I'm sorry. Anger is an overlying emotion. There's something under that anger, okay? For me in that situation was fear, all right? So I'm standing there like, oh, God, what should I say? Should I say something to him? What should I say? And before I could say anything, he was like, hi, how are you this morning? Now, mind you, I don't know if he realized, like, I don't know if when he cut me off and flipped me off, that he literally like looked to see what I looked like I looked at him. So I don't know if he was just like being abundantly nice because we were like in the same building and he didn't know who I was, as far as like working in the building, right? Because he's probably like, oh my gosh, I literally cut in front of her, flipped her off, and now here she is. Oh, I could be in trouble, right? So I don't know if he was thinking that. I don't know if he was like, oh, I recognized her, like, or if he just didn't know me at all, right? And so we're in the elevator and I'm just boiling, like literally, like I rate myself on a scale of 1 to 10, and I would say I would go with probably a good 7 or 8 at this point, right? And even after he said, hi, how are you, or whatever, and I said this back to him. I said, I'm all right, or good, or whatever I said at the time. And I was like, how are you? What happened next totally changed my mind. Like, it doesn't excuse rude behavior, right? I don't go for that. It doesn't excuse, you know, driving horribly, almost hitting somebody. Nothing excuses behavior that is bad, in my opinion. It doesn't. It explains it, but it doesn't excuse it. So he's like, well, you got me here. I say, oh wow, like I can't even do him, right? Because like I'm not a guy. So, but he just literally, like, I could just like feel like the weight of his day already, and it was only like 7:50 in the morning, and I could just feel like he was so weighted down with whatever in life. And right, we all have those days, because today is one of those days for me for whatever reason. So we all have those days. So it changed my, like, on my scale from 7 to 8, and it changed my anger towards him to like practically nothing, to be honest. I was just like, oh wow, like he's really having a bad day. Once again, it doesn't excuse his behavior by any means, because we all go through things in life. We all have bad times, bad days. Things have happened to us that are horrific, like me, right? Just different stuff happens in this life because sin is in it. But it does not excuse you being rude, being mean, cutting somebody off, flipping somebody off. Like, it doesn't excuse, crazy bad behavior. Like, it doesn't excuse you sinning. There we go. Because someone has sinned against you, so to speak, it doesn't excuse you sinning against someone else. So anyways, I just really like felt his weight, and I was like, oh wow, God, and I'm sure, knowing me, I probably started praying for him. I'm gonna just be fully transparent and honest. I probably wasn't on a 0 on my scale, because I like glared back to like when he got off. Well, hold on. When he got off the elevator, he's like, well, have a wonderful day. And he was like so sincere about it, right? And I was like, yeah, you too. But I looked back to see like where he was going, or, whatever. So I will say that much, right? Like, I did kind of glare him down. So I'm not perfect by any means. Yeah, none of us are. So then I go get in the next elevator, because it's parking garage elevator, and then the elevator to the floor you're going. Anyways, and so I'm sitting there thinking, and I like to be honest, because we're all human. We all feel things. We all sin. We just all everything, right? So I'm literally sitting there. When my boss comes, I tell him the story of what happened, and it popped in my head like that. I was like, you know what? When I was in the elevator with him, I should have said, I see you're having a bad day, but you know what? Let me one up you. I literally almost got hit by this guy, and then he flipped me off. The audacity he had to flip me off after he cut me off. Like, that's the humanness of us, right? The humanness of us wanting to, react, say things back, the negative, horrible sin, right? And so, I mean, bottom line, I'm glad I didn't say that. I'm glad I didn't. But it did give me kind of like a new perspective. And last week, I'll be honest, like I didn't do something as far as these videos. I want to try and do like Tuesdays and use my Thursdays for throwback. Last week was kind of heavy. Maybe one day I'll get into that. I had the little girl that I had, and I just was not feeling it, right? And I had asked God, God, you're the one who told me to do these videos. You got to give me stuff. And this is what he gave me. Like, be careful what you ask for, right? But, it gave me a different perspective, because I shared at the beginning, one of the things that still is hard for me is driving, right? With these people that do stupid stuff. But it gave me a new perspective into people, right? Like, it doesn't excuse it, but it gave me a new perspective that I can look at people differently that are rude in traffic and see like, okay, what's the underlying real issue? Like, they cut you off, they flipped you off, but like, what is really going on in their life? And just like start praying for them. Am I gonna get it right every single time? No, I'm not. I fail every time I feel like I get in this car. It is ridiculous, right? All right, that's the story for today. That's the diary for today. So tell me, what would you guys have done if you were in my situation, right? This guy cuts you off, almost hits you, flips you off, and says God knows what out of his mouth at you, right? And yelling at you. You go to work, boom, you go in the elevator, and there he is. What would you say? What would you say? Now, keep the comments positive. you're supposed to be godly. I'm going to assume you're godly if you're watching this, right? Even if you're not, there's still good people that aren't godly per se, right? No one's good. We know this. But anyways, I think the point for me is to always, you know, try and see someone else's perspective and what they're going through. So share in the comments what you guys would have done in my situation. And I will see you guys next week for the next diary. Peace. Love y'all.